What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your $1,400 third stimulus check update, fourth stimulus check update, and daily news report. Happy Easter weekend as Easter is almost upon us. Maybe we'll be sharing some Easter stuff with you and our son Julian. Stay tuned for that. But we got lots to talk about regarding stimulus and everything related, so we're going to just jump right in. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on video updates on the upcoming fourth round of stimulus, as there is multiple different stimulus provisions on the horizon. President Biden has already started it off with just the tip of the iceberg with two rounds of over $1 billion of student loan forgiveness, and that's just the start of the fourth round of stimulus checks and stimulus provisions in the next round. So let's jump right in. Don't forget to hit the like button, and here we go. The White House is not happy as another state, Kansas, lawmakers have ended their statewide mask mandates. We're now starting to see state after state after state open back up, open up their businesses, and stop mask mandates to boot. Well, it's safe to say that the White House is not very happy about this. Listen in.
And just a little while ago, we heard the president appeal again to people to take the coronavirus seriously, saying that too many people are acting as if this fight is over, and it's not. So I'm wondering, why does the president think, or you or the White House or the COVID team, why do you think this message isn't breaking through for some people? Why does he have to keep saying it again and again and again?
Well, we have always anticipated that there would be ups and downs, and that's why the president, the vice president, and all of us have continued to reiterate that we are at war with the virus, that we need to be vigilant, and that's a message you've heard from him and members of our health team throughout the past several months, even when people were feeling more and more confident out in the American public. We don't view the observation of public health guidelines as a political step. We view it as a step that helps save lives. Some people view it otherwise, but what our focus is on ensuring that we are expediting getting vaccinations out to pharmacies, doubling the number of pharmacies that have them, more than doubling, expediting, increasing the amount of vaccines that are going out to states, which we saw a dramatic increase in that. And we're also working with local mayors, business owners, and at the individual level to continue to reiterate what has long been our consistent message.
Is that message that it's too early to celebrate? I mean, how often or how much of that is part of the public education messaging? There are some PSAs that the administration is doing. How much of that message is part of that campaign?
The big focus of the public campaign is we can do this, and that it's important to take the vaccine. And obviously partnering that public messaging with our efforts to expedite in getting more vaccines out, increasing the number of vaccination sites, the number of vaccinators. We're doing those in partnership, and also working and investing, I should say, a significant amount of our public education efforts in local partners, which we've seen to be the most effective effort. So that's one of the reasons why that is where the majority of our funding for that public campaign is going.
So we're about a year into the pandemic, a year since the last infamous March with the first shutdown in the United States. And let me know your thoughts. Do you think it's time to open back up the country, start taking off masks? Vaccines are going out. Or do you think we should say with what the White House is saying, stay vigilant and let's continue to get vaccines out and finally put the virus to as close to dead as possible, maybe get somewhere close to herd immunity? Or do you think we should just go out and start living our lives? I know that I'll definitely get comments from both sides on this one. It's a tough situation because I know that everybody's tired of wearing masks, and cases are starting to rise up again. But you got to also remember that a lot of people have the vaccine. So it's a tricky situation if you have the vaccine, but let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. We get a very mixed job report, and depending on what you hear in the media or on YouTube, you might think one way or the other. For example, if someone told you or you read this headline, economy adds a whopping 916,000 jobs as the recovery accelerates, you might think, wow. everything is going great. That's really amazing. Or this is funny. This is how politics and the media is. It's just you could read one thing and see things from one complete side. It's like that phrase from My Cousin Vinny where he says, "Yeah, the defense is going to set up a real nice defense, and they're going to show you this this one-sided card, and they're going to show you how strong the card is, and they're going to build a house of cards. But what they're not going to show you is the one side where it's completely thin." And their whole case is built on a house of cards. Let me know if you know the exact quote, how that goes. That's such an infamous movie. But that's kind of how a lot of the media is. That's why I try to bring you guys the truth when it comes to everything well that we talk about here on this channel. So again, here's the first one-sided kind of argument. The economy adds 916,000 jobs in the entire month of March as recovery accelerates. But then you can go to this next article, which is actually on Fox News, and they're typically Republican. And this one says 719,000 Americans file for first-time unemployment benefits in just the last week. So in just the last week, 719,000 Americans filed for unemployment benefits for the first time, meaning they just lost their job. And you think, wow, the economy is doing terrible. How could anybody say the jobs report is great? Like, oh my God, like if you read a headline like this, you're like, oh my God, we need to pass more stimulus now because that's absolutely terrible numbers. And that's where you get a little bit of the confusion because you see a headline like this that says we added 916,000 jobs in the entire last month of March. And then you go back to the unemployment and you're like, oh my God, 719,000 people lost their jobs in just the last week. So yeah, and that's where it gets, you see people that like, they get a completely one-sided argument because whatever media they seen in the whatever they happen to see in the media saying the economy's great or the economy's terrible, and that's why realistically we're still in a struggling economy. And I liken this back to the last recession, the 2008-2009 recession. It took us 4 years to get the economy back to the unemployment numbers that we were at pre recession, and they didn't even have a pandemic to worry about there. Now we have a pandemic to worry about and an economic crisis that is likely worse than what we dealt with then, in addition to a once in 100-year pandemic. Well, here's what President Biden thinks about the jobs report and the economy.
Well, the earliest signs from this job report, this announcing today, are promising, and the American Rescue Plan is starting to make a real difference. Today's report also reminds us how deep a hole we started in. After a year of devastation, there are still 8.4 million fewer jobs today than there were last March. 8.4 million. We created 900,000 again, but 8.4 million jobs fewer today than last March. So too many Americans have been unemployed for longer than 6 months. Too many women have been forced out of the workforce. Unemployment among people of color remains far too high. Yes, we've made progress by starting to build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out. And yes, the American Rescue Plan is laying the foundation for that economy. But we still need the American Jobs Plan to build on that foundation, to build this country back better. So the bottom line is this. Today's report is good news. Today's report shows that the country can what it can do when we act together to fight a virus, to give working people the help they need. But we still have a long way to go. But I know that we're going to get there, and we're going to get there together.
And that is why we have almost 100 lawmakers from both the Senate and the House combined now pushing for a fourth stimulus check to be added into the infrastructure plan. President Biden has only announced the first part or the first portion of the infrastructure plan, which is the physical part of the infrastructure plan. And next, he will be unveiling the second half of this. Each half is expected to be over or around $2 trillion with a total of $4 trillion. So there's plenty of money in there to add in a fourth stimulus check. However, there's almost 100 Democratic lawmakers pushing not just for one stimulus check in this next package, but actually monthly recurring stimulus check packages. We have two different proposals actually for this. Number one, which was unveiled just a few days ago, is Senator Ed Markey and Elizabeth Warren pushing President Biden to include $2,000 monthly recurring stimulus checks until the pandemic is over. And you might be thinking, well, gee, Jimmy, that sounds like a lot. I don't think that will ever happen. Well, number one, all you need to do is look at what the other countries in the world are doing. In many countries in Europe, they will actually pay your entire salary, which is way more than $2,000 a month on average, to keep your job, even if you lost your job during the pandemic. Europe basically focuses, they're different than the American unemployment insurance, where you might get a $300 boost on top of a 50% unemployment from your state. In Europe, they basically just pay 100% of your salary if you lost your job from the pandemic. So literally 100%, which is typically more than $2,000 a month. And number two, all you have to do is look to our nearest ally, our closest country, well, depending on if you're the north or south in the United States, Canada's $2,000 monthly stimulus payments that a lot of you guys are actually familiar with, that has been going on since the pandemic started. So if Canada can do it, and if countries all across Europe can do it, actually pay more than $2,000 a month, can actually pay an entire salary, which could be $4, $5, or $6,000 a month, could the United States do $2,000 a month stimulus payments for the fourth round until the pandemic is over? Well, if Mitch McConnell was the Senate Majority Leader, we definitely have to say no. We'd have to just be real and just be like, no, that can't happen. But because the Democrats are likely going to pass this next package with the good old reconciliation card, which means they're going to pass this bill without any Republican support at all, could they do it? Yeah, they actually could, because it's all Democrats that are pushing for monthly stimulus checks until the pandemic is over. So if the Democrats are the one who wants the monthly stimulus checks, and they're going to pass it completely on their own in the both House and Senate, all Democrats, it's exactly what the third stimulus check package passed. All the Democrats in the House voted for it, all the Democrats in the Senate voted for it, and they passed it. And they included the stimulus check, they included mortgage assistance, rental assistance, property tax assistance, utility assistance, unemployment weekly checks, among the child income tax credits, which some say is already a form of universal basic income, as these child income tax credits are actually going to be paid out in monthly increments of $250 to $300 per month per child. And there's no limit on it. So you can literally have 5 children, 10 children, or one child, and you're going to get $3,000 to $3,600 per child from this latest stimulus package. And you might think, well, maybe if you're a Republican, you might think, well, the Democrats can't do this. They can't just continue to give away free money. But in reality, this package, the child income tax credit, actually started with Republican President Donald Trump. That's right, these child income tax credits actually were raised by former President Donald Trump, and his daughter, Ivanka Trump, actually was the one who campaigned for it and pushed for it to be increased to $2,000 per year per child. So former President Donald Trump was the one who raised the child income tax credit to $2,000 per child with, again, no limit. $2,000 per child per year. Sounds like monthly stimulus checks or yearly stimulus checks, which some people consider a universal basic income. Well, President Biden in the third stimulus check package has now raised that to $3,000 per child from $2,000 for children over the age of 6 through 17, and $3,600 per child for children under the age of 6. The IRS is setting up a plan to pay this to the parents in monthly increments of $250 to $300 per month, which is likely to start in July. I will keep you up to date on that. But the question begs is that we're already doing monthly stimulus checks for parents, for the children to help support our poverty, childhood poverty. Biden says that up to 54% of childhood poverty will completely go away because of these increased child income tax credits that are going to be paid out as monthly stimulus checks. And an income tax credit, you either get it at the tax return as $3,000 to $3,600, it's a one lump sum, or you're going to get it in monthly payments of $250 to $300 per month. The government says the monthly payments will help people a lot more because they'll get it all year round and they won't get it in a one lump sum and feel the urge to go out and buy $1,000 iPhones and spend the money as fast as possible. But the question is that other countries are already doing monthly stimulus checks. Canada's doing monthly stimulus checks. We're doing weekly stimulus checks for the unemployed, and we're doing monthly stimulus checks for children and the parents of the children. So the question is, could they really go a step further and just do monthly stimulus checks for everybody else? And the answer is probably yeah. The Democrats are going to pass this all on their own. Now, if Mitch McConnell was in charge of the Senate, I'd have to tell you no right now. I'd say, yeah, that's just not going to happen. But because the Democrats are going to pass this next package completely on their own, all they really need is for President Biden to say, yeah, he wants to do it. This is the same guy who says he's willing to do $10,000 of student loan forgiveness per person. Of course, Chuck Schumer and AOC and Elizabeth Warren, they want him to do $50,000 of student loan forgiveness, which is a real possibility. Biden says he's willing to do $10,000 of student loan forgiveness, and they're going to pass this bill on their own. So when you kind of add all that up together, now you might be starting to think, wow, monthly stimulus checks until the pandemic is over to get our economy off the ground, help struggling businesses because people will actually have money to spend, and get us out of the hole, the economic hole, not even counting the vaccines and the virus part of it. But remember, the last recession, it took us 4 years to get back to normal unemployment. The economy literally just struggled for 4 years to even get back there. It was just such a slow economy. And really, any economist you ask will say probably the number one mistake they made. Do you know what it was? Ask any economist or Google it. You know what they'll say? They didn't spend enough stimulus. Because the reality of it is 2008, 2009 was really the first time of modern government stimulus. See, back in 1929, when basically the whole world basically stopped for America and Americans, and people were in soup lines and jobs were just gone, the stock market plummeted like you've never seen before, and people just literally just lost all their money instantly. The reason that happened is because we didn't have modern day stimulus packages. Remember what happened to stocks this year back in March when the country shut down? The stock market was like, "Pew." In fact, check this out. Look at the stock market last year here. The Dow was at 30,000, okay? And then coronavirus came, and what happened? Literally plummeted down within 2 weeks. The stock market went from 30,000 for rough numbers to 20,000 in literally 2 weeks. The stock market went down by about 33% in 2 weeks. If that's not a crash, that's a crash that any investor looks forward to put new money in because you just don't see that happen very often. And the only reason that we spiked back up here literally within weeks was because of stimulus package number one. And the reality of it is President Trump passed 5 stimulus packages and Biden won. That package was just Biden's first stimulus package. We know he's not going to do only one stimulus package. He's already announced the next package, infrastructure slash stimulus. And it's very likely there will be at least a single stimulus check in there. And the very real possibility of monthly recurring stimulus checks. And the Democrats can make all the reasons for it that they really want. All they got to say is, listen, this will get our economy back to where it needs to be. And they'll probably be able to do it with all the Democratic votes. Again, they don't need Republicans. They're not even going to negotiate with Republicans. It's probably just the reality of it because they're not going to get any Republican votes. So they're probably not even going to negotiate with them. All they have to do is negotiate with themselves. And more every single day, I'm starting to see headlines like this: stimulus checks, 21 Democratic senators push for recurring stimulus checks or direct payments in the new Biden infrastructure plan. 21 already out of the 50 Democratic senators are pushing for not just one stimulus check in the next package, but monthly recurring stimulus payments until the pandemic is over. So, probably worst case scenario, we see another single check in the next stimulus package, and the lowest number they're throwing around is $2,000. So, I guess that's good news. Maybe we see, at worst case scenario, a $2,000 stimulus check in the next package. Best case scenario, we see monthly recurring stimulus checks. Either way, I'll keep you up to date, but the promise of the future looks pretty good for stimulus. If you're a fan of stimulus, it's a pretty good looking fourth package. I'll keep you up to date on everything: stimulus checks, student loan forgiveness, the $200 per month Social Security raise, mortgage assistance, rental assistance, property taxes assistance, and utility assistance, all which is already passed in the third stimulus check package and will become available soon. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new updates. After subscribing, click the bell icon to all notifications to get reminder notifications when we go live with new videos, which is every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have dozens of students that have replaced their 9-to-5 income selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.